I'll start with a chant from Shankaracharya's Stotra Kapir. ॐ योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्याश्च हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादि प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं। सम्मान्य प्रोफेसर सुधा शर्मा जी, the professor in charge of history department of this August College. Am I audible? Professor Upi Singh ji and all colleagues from the history department of this college, dear students and participants. First of all, first and foremost, I must express my gratitude to Professor Upi Singh ji, who invited me to be with this august audience. I suppose the invitation is extended to me on behalf of Professor Sudha Sharma ji, the teacher in charge of the department. I express my thankfulness to Sudha ji and all colleagues from history department. I am rather aware of the fact that I am addressing a student, the participants comprising of the non-technical audience, in the sense that the topic I am supposed to speak on is a philosophy topic. But thanks to the Niti Nirdharaka of national education policy, the Indian knowledge tradition has become the subject of every student these days. I know history is all about events. I mean, falling under the idea of time. It is in a way study of time. I would like to talk about the Indian knowledge tradition first. What this expression is all about. I know for last 5 years we have been bombarded with these two expressions: Indian knowledge tradition and national education policy. What is exactly meant by these two expressions? You know, we have all been a student of language at some point in time or the other in our school days. You know, these two expressions, I mean, the Indian knowledge traditions, this expression has two components. Anand ji ko namaste. This expression has two components. One is Indian and the other one is the knowledge traditions. In the same way, national education policy has two components in the expression. First is national and the second one is the education policy. Meaning thereby that there have been many knowledge traditions. There are many knowledge traditions in the world. And this particular knowledge tradition that we are talking about happens to be the Indian knowledge traditions. And there have been many educational policies. And the education policy we are referring to is the national education policy. So now, the expressions comprises two elements. The first is the adjectival element and the second is the qualificative. So, the word Indian is an adjectival word and the word national is also an adjectival word. Am I right? मुझे समझ पा रहे हैं ना? एक विशेषण होता है, एक विशेष्य होता है. Why do we use the adjectival words? Adjectival words are normally and often used to distinguish something from other related things. When you say the pot and then you say the blue pot, why do you use the word blue? To distinguish all pot individuals from this pot. Am I right? In the same way, to distinguish, to separate other knowledge traditions, to separate this particular knowledge traditions from all possible other knowledge traditions, we use the qualificant word Indian knowledge tradition. In the same way, we use the national education policies, meaning thereby there are many educational policies and this particular education policy is national education policy. But now what is the characteristics that make this particular knowledge tradition the Indian one? And what are those characteristics? What are those facts that make this particular educational policy is a nationalistic one? This has to be properly thought over. Now, I request my students to ponder over the two expressions, Jnana and Shiksha, Bharatiya Jnana Parampara. Think over the word Jnana and think over the word Shiksha. What is exactly meant by the word Jnana and what is exactly meant by the word Shiksha? I am coming to my topic. So, the word Jnana denotes two ideas. One is the act of knowing and the other one is the means of knowing. The Sanskrit grammarians talk of the science of etymology. So, Gyan plus An. The An stands for instrumentality and An also stands for an act. So, act of knowing is Jnana and also the instrument of knowing is Jnana. So, the most important aspect of the Indian knowledge tradition is that this knowledge tradition not only talks about the knowledge per se, it also talks about the various means of knowing the entities in the world. So one is known as Prama and the other one is known as Pramana. So the word Prama and Pramana, the idea of Prama and the idea of Pramana is denoted by only the same word Jnana. ठीक है ना आनंद जी? And let us talk about the word Shiksha. What exactly is meant by the word? If we know the exact idea denoted by the word, we will know the characteristics that make the knowledge tradition an Indian one, that make the education policy a nationalistic one. And what is that? Now I am asking you the question, students. Now tell me, what is जानने की इच्छा को क्या कहते हैं? जिज्ञासा. A keen desire to know is जिज्ञासा. जीने की इच्छा को क्या कहते हैं? जिजीविषा. We know of these two expressions, jigyasa and jijivisha. Both of these expressions end with a suffix san, sa. Okay, sa, jigyasa and jijivisha. So sa stands for the idea of the desire. Now let us talk about the word shiksha. Can you sense this word also ends with sha, and there is a verbal root by Panini, shak, shak. शक किसे कहते हैं? सकना. किसे कहते हैं बच्चों? सकना. तो सकना माने समर्थ होना. So it used to be, normally the word used to be शिशिक्षा. इसका मतलब होता है सकने की इच्छा. क्या अर्थ है इसका? सकने की इच्छा मतलब समर्थ होने की इच्छा. तो जीने की इच्छा, जानने की इच्छा को क्या कहते हैं? मेरे साथ बोल लीजिए. शिक्षा. जीने की इच्छा को क्या कह लेते हैं? जिजीविषा. ऐसे ही सकने की इच्छा, समर्थ होने की इच्छा को क्या कहते हैं? शिक्षा. तो शिक्षा शब्द का अर्थ होता है समर्थ होने की इच्छा. Now this samarthya is of two types. I am coming to my point. This samarthya is of two types. So I have this ability of knowing the world around me. Okay? What are those facts that make the knowledge tradition an Indian one? What are those characteristics that make the education policy a nationalistic one? I am talking about this point. So now, I have got two inbuilt qualities. So I have this quality of knowing the world around me. I can know the table, I can know the chair, which is externally given to me. I can know man and women around. I can know the tree. I can know the world around me. So I have this inbuilt capacity of knowing the external world too. External world, that is knowing the world that is external to me. And I have got this inbuilt capacity in me to know the knower of the world. Who is knowing the world? So knowing the world and knowing the knower of the world. Am I right? So who is knowing the world? The world is in the form of table, chair, man and women around me. And I am the subject and these entities are the objects. So these objects, I undergo a process and I have the knowledge of these objects. Okay. What happens when I know? Tell me. Philosophically speaking, what happens when I know? 5 मिनट पहले मुझे चेयर का ज्ञान नहीं था और अभी मुझे चेयर का ज्ञान हुआ. तो ये क्या हुआ? I underwent a process, and this process led me to the arrival of this knowledge event. So I have this capacity of knowing the world around me, and I have also the capacity of knowing the knower of the world. Who is knowing the world? I am knowing the world. So I have this capacity of knowing myself, and I have this capacity of knowing the entities that are not me. तो देखिए, एक तो है आत्मा, एक है अनात्मा, सेल्फ एंड नॉन सेल्फ. So anything and everything is non-self for me. I happen to be the self, and anything and everything is non-self for me. So there are two expressions, Atma and Anatma. So I can know Atma, I can know Anatma. But why to know Anatma and why to know the Atma? Why should I know myself, and why should I know the world around me? So there is an expression in the Sankhya philosophy. Have you heard of the philosophical system, Sankhya? You are all students of philosophy, I mean history. So Sankhya, there is aphorism in Sankhya philosophy. Bhogap vargartham drishyam. I should know the world and I should win over the world and I should utilize the world for my benefit. Why should I know the world? So that I win over the world and I develop an expertise of using the word, utilizing the word in my favor. So this makes this world a happier world for me. I mean, there are two types of lokas, Ihaloka and the Paraloka. So I make my Ihaloka life the perfect one by knowing the external world and by winning over it and by utilizing it in my favor. That falls under the subject we call science. Okay, so science helps me to know the world around me, but science cannot help me to know who am I. So there is the Indian philosophical systems say that there are two types of entities in the world. There are two types of entities in the world. These worldly entities and the other worldly entities. These worldly entities and the other worldly entities. I know these worldly entities through science. I know the other worldly entities through the Shastras. So there are Shastras and there is science. So Shastras are often referred to as Vidya. And the science is often referred to as Avidya. So I have to be an expert in Avidya and I have to be an expert in Vidya. My knowledge of Avidya will lead me to know the world, to win over the world, to use the world in my favor. So this situation will make this world for me the perfect world. I become successful in life. And if I become successful only with reference to this life, then I am only half successful. I also have to develop a knowledge which will help me to know the other world. And what is this other world? The Atman. So knowing the Atman and knowing the Anatman. So both of these addresses are there in the Indian knowledge traditions and in the national education policy. This is what makes the Indian knowledge tradition an Indian one. This is what makes a nationalistic education policy as the nationalistic one. Now, the all philosophical inquiry start with a point. So there is a subject and there is an object. Objective world and subjective world. I happen to be the subjective world and the world around me happens to be the objective world. I should know the subject, I should also know the object. There is an expression in the Upanishad, Vigyataram arekena bina vijaniyat. How to know the knower. This becomes the most important questions or inquiry. अब इसके बाद देखिए कि ये इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम कहाँ से शुरू होता है, इस पर विचार कीजिए। और फिलोसॉफिकल इंक्वायरी कहाँ से शुरू होती है? व्हाट इज द बिगिनिंग पॉइंट ऑफ ऑल फिलोसॉफिकल इंक्वायरीज? So I always start my philosophy lectures with this point. And now tell me, there are three experiential truths. There are three experiential truths. First and foremost experiential truth is that human life is constantly suffering from three types of sufferings. Buddha talked about it, Sankhyas talked about it, all philosophers talked about it. Human life is a constant chain of sufferings, and this suffering is of three types. One is known as Adhyatmika Dukkha, and the second one is known as the Adi Bhautika Dukkha, and the third one is known as the Adi Daivika Dukkha. So human life is constantly suffering from these three types of sufferings. This is the first and the foremost experiential truth. Nobody can deny it. And what is the second experiential truth? The first is that human life is constantly suffering from three types of sufferings. And the second experiential truth is that every one of us wants to get rid of these three types of miseries. And what is the third experiential truth? I not only want to get rid of these three types of miseries, sufferings, I also want a permanent positive peace, Shashvat Shanti. So, I would like my students to note these three experiential truths. The human life is constantly a suffering. Every one of us wants to get rid of these three types of sufferings, and we not only want to get rid of these sufferings, we want a kind of permanent peace. Then the question arises, what is the cause of these sufferings? Unless you remove the cause, you cannot remove the effect. So if you wish to remove the effect, you will have to remove the cause. So there is a chain of cause. Why do I experience the table before me? Because table exists. I cannot help but have the experience of the table which is there before me. The existence of the table is the cause of my experience of the table. In the same way, the existence of these three types of miseries is the cause of my experience of these three types of miseries. So if I want to get rid of these three types of miseries, then I must try to get rid of the existence, ontological existence of these three types of miseries. I cannot help it. And then they say, what is the cause of the existence of these three types of miseries? Then the philosophical answer to this question is, the samsara is the cause of the existence of these three types of sufferings. So if I am to remove the existence of these three types of sufferings, I will have to first remove the samsara. What exactly meant by my idea of removal of the world? And then the question arises, what is the cause of this samsara then? Then the philosophical answer to this question is my ignorance of myself is the cause of the samsara. I mean, I do not know who exactly am I. My ignorance with reference to myself generates the idea of world before me, which in turn generates the idea of the existence of three types of miseries, and which in turn generates the idea of the experience of these three types of miseries. So, my ignorance of myself is the culprit for bringing this chain to me. So, if I am to remove this chain, I will have to remove the ignorance with reference to myself. So now tell me, my ignorance of the chair will be removed by my knowledge of the chair. My ignorance with reference to the chair cannot be removed by my knowledge of the table. So table knowledge will not destroy or dispel the ignorance with reference to the chair. So if I have to generate, if I have to remove the ignorance with reference to the chair, then I will have to gain the knowledge with reference to the chair. In the same way, my knowledge of myself will remove my ignorance of myself. So what is the way out then? Tell my students, what is the way out then? I have to know who exactly am I. समझ गए ना? मुझे यह ज्ञान होना चाहिए कि मैं स्वरूपतः क्या वस्तु हूँ। तो मैं अपने संबंधित अज्ञान को तब मिटाऊंगा जब मैं अपने को जानूंगा। Now the question is, you are talking about knowledge of oneself, but knowledge of oneself is self-evident. Every one of us knows that I exist. I am different from the world around me. So, Atma Jnana is the self-evident object. So, it is already given. It is given. It is not something that is to be brought. Every one of us knows who am I. So imagine yourself lying on the bed in the darkest of the night. Students, Atma Gyan ke बारे में बता रहा हूँ. Imagine yourself lying on your bed in the darkest of the night. So you cannot visualize the entities around. You cannot visualize the roof. You cannot visualize the ground. You cannot visualize the pictures on the wall. You cannot visualize wall, chair, table in the room. So you are not aware of the entities which are there around. But in this level of ignorance, when you are knowing nothing, even then you know that I am. So you will be knowing yourself in the form of I am. So Atman is the most evident object, and you are talking about the ignorance of Atman. आत्मज्ञान तो पहले से ही है, तब वो कहते हैं नो देयर इज अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन आत्मज्ञान एंड आत्मज्ञान। अब यहाँ से बात शुरू करिए, वहाँ से आता है टाइम एंड स्पेस की बात। नाउ टेल मी व्हाट इज exactly the nature of Atman. To know the Atman in its nature is knowing the Atman. Now, I think of your day-to-day linguistic expressions and observe your knowledge events. Most of the time, there are linguistic expressions like I am tall, I am short. Now tell me who you are referring to as I. Tallness is the property of the body. Am I right? Shortness is the property of the body. You are mistaking the body to be yourself. You know that there exists something called me or I, but who this I is, what constitutes the idea of this I, you do not know. So, most of the time, you mistake this physical gross body to be myself, and this is how, and thus you come with such expressions. I am tall, I am short. Now, sometimes you say, I am blind or I see. Who is performing the act of seeing? The sense organ of eyes are performing the act of seeing. So you are referring to the sense organ of eye as I. You are not the sense organs. You are not the body. You are not the sense organs. But still you say, I see. I am blind. Blindness is a property that belongs to the sense of, the sense of I. So, many a time you mistake the sense organ to be yourself. And now think of the third expression. I am happy. I am sad. Now tell me, who is happy? Who is sad? Happiness and sadness are the properties belonging to the mind, not you. You are a propertyless consciousness existence. So you confuse with entities that have properties to be yourself. You confuse the body to be yourself. You confuse the sense organs to be yourself. You confuse the mind to be yourself. Sometimes you mistake the intellect to be yourself. You come out with expressions like, I know, I decide. Who knows? Who decides? You are not the one who knows. You are not the one who decides. It is the intellect that knows, that decides. So, I most of the time confuse with some worldly entities to be myself. That is the level of ignorance which is prevalent in every one of us. One who is not spiritually awakened. So I do not know myself. I do not know myself. Now I am talking about the Bharatiya Jnana Parampara. Now, Atman is Sat Chit Ananda. What is the nature of Atman? Please tell me. Sat, Sat, Chit and Ananda. If I know Atman only as Sat, then do I know Atman in its fullness? No. If I know Atman only as Sat and Chit, do I know Atman in its fullness? No. If I know Atman in all its aspects, in all its features, then I know the Atman in totality. Sometimes partial knowledge is referred to as knowledge. देखिए सर, ध्यान से सुनिए. Most of the time, a partial knowledge is referred to as knowledge. So do not confuse between the partial knowledge and the full knowledge. Indian knowledge tradition talks about the full knowledge of the given entities, whether this entity is the objective world or this entity is the subjective world. So I can know the chair partially and I can know the chair in its entirety. Now tell me, students, please, this is the philosophy class. What happens when you know the chair? Imagine a common man's knowledge of the chair, and then imagine a scientist's knowledge of the chair, and imagine a yogin's knowledge of the chair. I am giving you three options. What happens when a common man knows the chair? And what is the process of knowing the chair? They say, my mind goes to the chair. Listen, my mind goes to the chair and it stays with the chair for a fraction of time. And my mind starts befriending the chair. And in the process of friendship, chair starts revealing its features to my mind. देखिए, but my mind is predominantly a Rajasic mind. It has got the characteristics of mobility. So it stays with the chair only for 10 seconds. And then it says bye to the chair. And it goes to the table. So it has not allowed the chair enough time to reveal its persona before it. So he becomes the knower of the chair only in its 20% aspects. ठीक है, समझ गए? I mean, common man's mind is a chanchala mind. A chanchala mind stays with the object only for a fraction of a moment, and this situation does not allow the object to reveal its persona in fullness. So, this poor man's mind knows the chair only in its 20% aspects. Now, think of the mind of a scientist. Scientist's mind is predominantly sattvika mind, and the scientist orders its mind to go to the chair and stay with the chair for imagine 2 minutes, and it befriends with the chair, and chair starts revealing its features to you, and then chair has started revealing its persona in 80%. So he knows the chair in its 80% features. Now tell me, is there difference between the knowledge of a common man and the knowledge of a scientist? ठीक है? So knowledge of the common man is referred to as ज्ञाना. क्या कहते हैं इसको? ज्ञाना. And knowledge of the scientist is referred to as प्रज्ञाना. क्या है शब्द? प्रज्ञाना. प्रकृष्ट ज्ञान है ना? And what about the yogin's mind? Yogin's mind is a completely sattvika mind. It goes to the chair, it stays with the chair for a maximum period of time, and it allows the chair to reveal its persona in totality. The yogin becomes the total knower of the chair, and the yogin's knowledge is referred to as sampragyana. क्या कहते हैं इसको? Sampragyana. So jnana is of 3 gradations. The lowest level of knowledge is, बोलिए, the lowest form of knowledge is jnana, and medium form of knowledge is pragyana, and the uppermost form of knowledge is sampragyana. So Indian knowledge tradition is talking about this sampragyana. So it aspires to know an entity in its entirety. So one should know the world around oneself in its entirety, and one should also know the knower of the world in its entirety. So most of the time we are all in the half knowledge situation. That puts me in the bondage. If you become the total knower of the world around you, and if you become the total knower of the world around you, you develop this capacity of utilizing this world in your favor, and you develop a level of knowledge which will ultimately liberate you from the bondage of this shackles of day-to-day life situations. And these situations makes you free from all ideas of sufferings. So the second experiential truth, I want to get rid of these experience of three types of miseries. ठीक है? और अब यहाँ से बात शुरू होती है. If I am to know the Atman in its entirety, अब देखिए, if I am to know the Atman in its entirety, so I should know the exact nature of Atman. So what is the exact nature of Atman? तब उसमें इंडियन फिलोसॉफिकल ट्रेडिशन, नॉलेज ट्रेडिशन में, आई मीन you will find this inquiry everywhere in the Indian knowledge tradition. That makes the Indian knowledge tradition the Indian one. That makes the educational policies the nationalistic education policy. If this particular aspect of knowledge is taken away from it, then it will not be a nationalistic education policy. It will not be an Indian education system. If you want to make the education system a nationalistic one, if you want to understand the knowledge tradition as the Indian knowledge tradition, you have to focus your mind on these two aspects. Primarily, knowing oneself. All Shastras, no? What is meant by the word Shastra? What is the central theme of Shastra? And what is the central theme of science? I mean, there are two knowledge variations in the form of science, in the form of Shastra. So, science will help you to know the world around you in its entirety, and Shastra helps you who you are, to know who you are in your entirety. Total knowing and the exact knowing is addressed in the Indian knowledge tradition. अब देखिए, अब मैं जो बता रहा हूँ कि आत्मा क्या है. Here comes the idea of space and time and the universe. फिर से एक बात थोड़ी सी 5-7 मिनट के लिए मेरे साथ रिलेट हो जाइए. Why should an inquiry be directed towards the total knowledge of the world around me, and why should an inquiry be directed towards the total knowledge of oneself? ये यहाँ से बात शुरू हुई ना, तब वो कहते हैं कि now think of the nature of the Atman. You confuse some elements from an-Atman to be your nature, and then you are put in the bondage of three types of miseries. अब ऐसे में knowing the world around me becomes very important for me. Why? If I know what body constitutes, if I know what constitutes the idea of mind, if I know what constitutes the idea of sense organ, these are all non-self elements. So I will never be confused with the self, and I will never take these elements to be self. When I become the total knower of the nature of self, and when I become the total knower of the nature of non-self, I will never be in a confusion situation, because I know what Anatman is, or I know what Atman is, so I will not confuse between them. Of this situation we need. So, what is the nature of Atman? Then say, Atman is a non-dynamic entity. Atman does not have anything with idea of motion, with idea of action. It is an actionless consciousness principle. And then Atman is beyond time, and Atman is beyond space. So to know Atman, I have to know what Anatman is all about. So Anatman constitutes the whole world. So I should know the whole universe before me, and I should know the knower of the whole universe. So there comes the inquiry into the idea of the universe, and there comes an inquiry into the idea of time, and there comes an inquiry into the idea of space. I am not this universe. I am the knower of the universe. I am not the universe. Most of the time, I mistake some element of this universe to be myself. I sometimes know myself, but I know myself a consciousness principle which is limited by time and space. I transcend time. I do not have anything to do with the idea of time. I do not have anything with the idea of space. I am a timeless, I am a spaceless entity. So I am eternally given, I am all pervasive. When I am all pervasive, I do not belong to a particular place. When I am an eternal entity, I do not belong to a particular time. So time does not bind me. So if I am not subjected to the idea of time and space, so I am a consciousness entity which is beyond time, and I am a non-spatial entity which is beyond space. इस तरह से Indian knowledge traditions initiates its inquiry into the universe. In this way, the Indian knowledge tradition initiates its inquiry into the idea of time, and Indian knowledge tradition initiates its inquiry into the idea of space. But what is the focus? The primary focus is the knowledge of the Atman, just for the sake of understanding what non-Atman is all about. इसीलिए शास्त्र का विषय क्या है? आत्मा, और विज्ञान का विषय क्या है? अनात्मा. तो भोगापवर्गार्थम विषयम, भोग के लिए, for the enjoyment of this worldly life, I must know the worldly entities in their entirety like a yogi, sampragyana. And I must know what constitutes my innermost being. So knowing oneself in its true nature and knowing the entities other than the self in their true nature is the focus of Indian knowledge tradition, is the focus of the nationalistic education policy. This is what makes Indian Indian knowledge traditions separated from all other knowledge traditions. This is what separates the national education policies from all other education policies. तो इसका फोकस आत्मज्ञान में है. आत्मज्ञान और अनात्म ज्ञान दोनों का ज्ञान होना चाहिए. आत्मा का ज्ञान संप्रज्ञान के रूप में होना चाहिए और आत्मभिन्न पदार्थों का ज्ञान संप्रज्ञान के रूप में होना चाहिए. I will try to conclude within few minutes because this subject is a vast subject. I mean, to talk about the Indian knowledge traditions and to talk about the idea of time and to talk about the idea of space and to talk about the idea of universe is like talking about everything. You cannot talk about everything in the limited span of 40 to 20 minutes. So, so space and time are the most pervasive features of our normal day-to-day experiences. Now tell me, can experience occur without there being the idea of time and space. Think of a knowledge event, knowledge of the pot. So, does this instance of knowledge belong to a particular time, or it transcends the idea of time? Your experiences are shaped by the time and space. You cannot think of a knowledge event without there being the idea of time and space. But when you are liberated, when you are released from the shackles of body, mind, sense of sense, you go beyond all ideas of experiences. So you transcend the experiential knowledge situation. You be in your true nature. So yoga philosophy, Sankhya philosophy talk about the idea of liberation, to talk about the idea of samadhi. What happens when you are in a state of meditation? Imagine yourself in the state of the knowledge situations, and imagine yourself when there is a no knowledge situation. So it is the mind that brings the idea of time. It is the mind that brings the idea of space. They are all mind creation according to the Vedantic system of philosophy. So Atman is, when Atman is free from body, when Atman is free from mind, when Atman is free from intellect, Atman is in its full glory, then there are no ideas of experience. You transcend the knowledge events. So in that situation, you become established in your truth. Tada drashtu swarupe avasthanam. So what is the takeaway from this lecture, I suppose, is that I was to talk about many things, time does not allow, and I know the fact that the students do not belong to the subject which is referred to as philosophy, but Indian knowledge tradition and national education policy, expects every Indian to be aware of these knowledge forms. That is why the policymakers have brought Indian knowledge tradition, and that is why our educational planners have planned the education the way that everyone knows the traditional Indian wisdom. Sanskritists or the philosophers can become experts, but students and teachers belonging to all domains of knowledge must also be somehow aware of the message of Rishis and Munis. So that is so brilliantly brought to the fore by national education policies. And the idea of time, the idea of space, and the idea of universe are not only the talking points with Indian traditions. Look at the Western philosophical traditions. Look at how Heraclitus, look at how pyramids, look at how Plato, look at how Aristotle talk about these ideas in their forms. traditions as well as Indian traditions. Both traditions talk about these topics, but Indian traditions talk about these topics with a specific focus, and the specific focus is about knowing oneself, and the secondary focus is about knowing the world around. Knowing the world around will make this life less fun, and knowing oneself will make the knower of the world liberated from the shackles of three types of people. That is what expected by the education policy. So education becomes higher education. Adhyatma Vidya is the higher education, and the science is the lower education. So without there being the idea of higher education, how can the higher learning institutions become higher? So if we are in the higher learning institutions, we must be aware of the message which is given by Indian higher education and the message which is given by nationalistic education policies. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you listening to the technical topic points so attentively and so gracefully. I must express my gratitude to the principal of this college, to the history department, धन्यवाद और बहुत सारे